Welcome, everybody. This meeting of the Centennial School Board is called to order at 6:29
Recording in
p.m.
progress.
on May 14th, 2025. Welcome, everyone. It's fantastic to see such a packed house, and I'm looking forward to the agenda today. The first thing on our list, real quick, is to approve the agenda. So it's been distributed in Board Book. Are there any needed amendments or adjustments? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Agenda's been approved. All right, introduction of guests. We have quite a list, and at this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Superintendent Owens.
Yes, there was a lot of positive energy coming in tonight, so it was good to see everybody. And April Olson, if you wouldn't mind taking the hot seat over here, you'll learn that there's a hot seat, and it's right there. And you know you're in a room full of educators or people affiliated with education, because right as it was approaching 6:30, everybody got quiet. So everybody's here for you tonight. This is how we do it in Centennial. So we have an introduction of a new administrator who's joining us July 1st. It's my pleasure to share the selection of April Olson as the Director of Curriculum and Student Learning, as I mentioned, beginning July 1st. April is succeeding the current retiring director, Maureen Callahan. Let's give her a nice clap. April has had a week here in Centennial. This is her third day of the week and third day that she's been with us, so it's almost like she's with us now. April brings 29 years of experience in education and currently serves as both the Director of Elementary Teaching and Learning as well as the Director of Federal Programs in the Reynolds School District. In these roles, she has worked closely with educators to enhance instructional effectiveness, strengthen student engagement, and implement multi-tiered systems of support, also known as MTSS, with a focus on data-driven decision-making while also managing district-wide initiatives in school improvement, early learning, attendance, and community partnerships. April's career spans various leadership and teaching experiences. Prior to her current work in Reynolds, April served 13 years as the Director of Federal Programs in the Gresham Barlow School District. She's also served as an assistant principal at the middle school level, a teacher on special assignment focused on reading at the elementary level, as well as a 5th and 6th grade teacher and a global science and biology teacher. Throughout her career, April has demonstrated a commitment. I'm not going to leave much for you. Throughout her career, April has demonstrated a commitment to instructional excellence, professional learning, and leveraging resources to support equitable student outcomes. April holds a bachelor's degree in science from University of Oregon, a Master of Science in Education, curriculum instruction from Portland State University, and an administrative license from Concordia University. April is a native Oregonian, is a mom to 2 girls. She enjoys reading, fostering animals, yoga, and puzzles. Those are good. In her spare time, she is teaching her daughter to drive, and this is her words, not mine, so hopefully soon she can give up being a chauffeur. April is excited to collaborate with the Centennial community, and it's my pleasure to welcome April Olson on her new leadership role in Centennial. And I don't know if this is lit green on this microphone here. If it isn't, make sure that it is, and then say anything that I might have left for you.
Oh, he didn't leave much, except just that how excited I am and how honored I am to be able to serve the Centennial community, students, families, and staff. As someone, as you just learned, who's worked in East County school districts for over 25 years, I have worked alongside and with many different staff members from Centennial and have always just been so impressed at the quality of work that's being done here. The Roadmap 27 is very strong, and I've noticed as I've been, onboarding a little bit this week, the alignment across different work going on in schools and the district is really clear. I'm very excited to become part of that and to, look forward to narrowing our focus and continuing to provide excellent service for the community.
And as some people know, there's a school board election coming up, and if some of you that live in North Clackamas School District know, you'll also recognize the picture of April Olson is a candidate for North Clackamas School Board, so.
Yeah. Put my money where my mouth is.
So let's give April another round of applause. All right, we've got another individual, a familiar face. And as he approaches, it's my pleasure to share the selection of Marin Miller as the Director of Human Resources beginning July 1. Marin is succeeding Interim Director Mari Scotagiri. Marin brings with him nearly 2 decades of administrative experience and a deep commitment to fostering positive, inclusive work environments that support both staff and students. Marin has served as principal of Centennial High School since 2022, where he has led efforts to strengthen school culture, increase student voice and achievement, and implement multi-tiered systems of support to provide targeted academic and behavioral support for students. Under his leadership, CHS has prioritized equity-driven initiatives and expanded student engagement opportunities. Marin's leadership extends across all educational levels, having previously served as the principal of Powell Butte Elementary School, middle school, and an elementary school in Federal Way, Washington. And Marin has also consistently focused on developing effective instructional systems, strengthening community partnerships, advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. In addition to his leadership roles, Marin has been actively involved in district-level initiatives, serving as an administrative representative on key committees, including licensed and classified negotiations, the Bond Oversight Committee, as well as the Equity Steering Committee. His experience in labor relations, staff development, and strategic planning will serve the district well in his new role as Director of Human Resources. Marin has a Bachelor of Science degree in biology from Pacific Lutheran University, a Master's in Teaching from City University, and an Educational Specialist degree, and he's currently pursuing a doctoral degree in education. So let us give a warm welcome to Marin Miller. In addition to all of that, Marin is also a resident of the Centennial community. So what did I leave for you, Mr. Miller?
Not a lot, so I appreciate that. I just look forward to, as you know, I'm both a parent, I live here, this is my home, and I love Centennial. My 3 students, my 3 kids have had great experiences here, and it is just cool to be able to serve it in a different, and continue to serve this community in a different role. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. At this point, we're going to pivot virtual. So if Devin is here, if Noah can pin Devin so that the audience here in the room can see Devin.
I don't know if you can see me.
We can. Hi, Devin.
It's so dark. I'm gonna have to move somewhere.
Here, I'll turn on my Zoom video so at least you can see me on there.
Like trying to fight. Also, my cats might start meowing during this. So.
So Centennial Transition Center teacher Devin Kautza was recently awarded the Excellent Teacher Award at the statewide Transition Center Conference in Eugene. The Excellent Teacher Award recognizes a classroom teacher working with identified transition-age students with disabilities who made outstanding contributions in implementing predictors of post-school success for students who are transition-aged. The recipient exemplifies the best of the philosophy of education as it relates to the area of transition and post-school success. Devin received substantial support for her nomination, which included peers, partners, students, and families, all offering insight as to Devin's work in support of transition-age students in the Centennial School District. In addition to winning the Excellent Teacher Award, Devin has also been nominated for the PGE Parks Champion Award by the Portland Parks Foundation for her work with special education program at CTC. Devin will be recognized as a nominee on May 21st when the award winners will be announced. So congratulations to Devin for these recognitions for your dedicated work. And I'll pass it over to Director Wright to share some additional insights as to the great work that Devin does.
Good evening, board members, guests in the audience, Devin, and hopefully your family was able to hop online. It is my honor to recognize and celebrate Devin as this year's recipient of the Excellent Teacher Award from the Oregon Statewide Transition Conference. Devin exemplifies what it means to be an outstanding transition teacher. Devin empowers her students to advocate for themselves, set meaningful goals, and to achieve them. Examples of this include students who participated in and completed various certification and community college programs, the countless numbers of students who have received their permits and driver's license, students who've moved into their own apartments and were hired for paid employment, all while attending the Centennial Transition Center. Devin's focus for students while attending CTC is on living, working, and playing, which includes leisure and recreation. This happens through focused instruction, community partnerships, and hands-on vocational experiences. From service learning projects with Portland Parks and Rec, who she's nominated for another award, to internships with local creatives, Devin ensures that students not only gain real-world skills that are based on their interest, but she also helps them with their confidence, communication skills, and increased independence. Devin's work is inclusive at all levels. She honors students' identities, she builds on their strengths, and she stays connected with them long after graduation. Maybe sometimes too long, huh? Devin, through collaboration with families and educators, community partners, and agencies like Voc Rehab, she creates strong networks that lead to lasting success for students, and her impact really truly does reach far beyond the classroom. She helps shape students' futures, and that's why she so richly deserves this recognition. Congratulations, Devin.
Oh, thank you, James and Denise. I appreciate both of you. And I love being at Centennial, so I appreciate it. And yes, my family could join. Oh, am I muted? Am I just talking? Am I a
We
talking
can
head
hear
right
you.
now?
Your family could join, that was right. Okay.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And if I remember correctly, Devin, this is not the first time you've been recognized with this award, is it?
No, it is, well, the transition program, yeah, we won the award in 2018.
Yeah.
For best
Congratulations.
transition program.
Great work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Triple C. Oh, student recognition. Student recognition. At this point, I would like to turn it over to
You can give it to me.
you. Okay.
Yes. Then
Superintendent Owens.
I'm going to quickly pass it over to Principal Miller. So we had a recent request to honor a group, two of which are our student board representatives that are a part of. Our ASB has earned some high praise, and so we wanted to make sure to share it with the board and community. I'll go ahead and pass it over to Principal Miller.
All right, as the proud principal of Centennial High School, I wanted to create this space and make sure that we recognize one of the great achievements is over the last several years, you've seen school spirit growing. And one of the keys for that is our leadership. You've seen our student leadership just stepping up in so many different ways. And so this year they got quite an honor, and I'm going to turn it over to Butch Self that's going to be talking about it. But it is just cool to see this continue to grow. So, Mr. Self.
Yes, actually, I'm going to pass it to Lashmay, who is our ASB president, because the students did the work, and so they deserve to stand up and talk about what they've accomplished. But it is a special award, so I'm going to let Lashmay introduce her ASB group, and then she can kind of talk about the award that we're very proud of.
Thank you. I'm Lashmi. I am a senior at Centennial High School. I am the ASB president over there. And now I will be introducing our ASB members. So next to me, I have Claire, our vice president. And then in the red, can you guys stand up when I call you? Isidro. His name is Isidro. He is our ASB spirit coordinator. And then Julia, we have our senior class president. Easton, we have our sophomore class president. Isaiah, we have our ASB tech and crew technology guy. I'm sorry, I don't know what. And then Evelyn, our ASB treasurer. And then Yahir Castro, our junior class president. Is it Vivian? She is our publicist. So I am really honored that we were able to attend It is called the OASC Spring Conference, and that stands for Oregon Association of Student Councils. And this is where a good group of student councils around Oregon go to this conference, and we all work alongside each other as well as enjoying each other and sharing our ideas with each other. And we were actually one of the 21 schools across the state that qualified for our Gold Council Award, as you can see in front of me. And honestly, very proud because it is the best, I think this is our first time Centennial Student Council has ever been recognized by the State Student Council organization. So I think that was a big achievement for us. Thank you. And yeah, I'm just super proud of this group. I think if Mr. Shelf has anything else to say, then, but I'll explain later in our slideshow.
So this award is based on, they have to demonstrate and prove and reflect on, it's a huge packet. The diversity, the work on diversity, the work on building community, the work on building school spirit, working with the community at large. And then they have to take pictures or use videos and then reflect on it. Again, like she said, we were one of 20 schools across the state, across classifications, that got this award. And it's been a year-long project that ASB has put work into. They've been working on it for over a year. And they've already decided that they want another one. So we're right back to work again. So they've done a great job over the last couple of years of raising school spirit and getting, there's nothing more fun to sit in the gym and hear the student body sing the fight song. It's kind of a cool experience. And so I'm proud of them, and Lashmay will probably talk more about it, but it is a unique award that we've been working hard for the last couple of years. So thank you.
And they've earned it. Let's give them another round of applause. And big thanks.
You can say it again.
Okay, thank you guys so much. Does anybody have anything that they'd like to say? Congratulations. I know what you meant. Triple C. This is one of them. This is super exciting.
It's a shame no one's excited for this one. All right. Thank you, Chair Solowski, Board of Directors, and Superintendent Owens. Thank you for having me here tonight. It is an honor to present tonight's 3 recipients of the 2025 Triple C Awards. And thank you in advance to Superintendent Owens for the assist on the slide deck. Each year, Centennial presents Triple C Awards to honor employees who demonstrate the values of caring, commitment, and/or creativity through their work in our district. Nominated by their colleagues, the winners of the Triple C Award have been recognized for ways in which their efforts have benefited the students, staff, and community of the Centennial School District. This year, we have 3 winners who exemplify the Triple C values as employees of our district. And we will present all 3 winners, and then I would ask that winners and their nominators stay briefly after this presentation when we'll take a quick pause to get some photos. Also, just a heads up, this is going to be a bit dynamic, so feel free to stay where you're at when I come to you, and you can, it's a full house, so I'll bring the mic to you where you're at. All right, first up.
You don't want to do hot seat?
I will do hot seat. I just am not going to ask our guests to climb over each other for hot seat. First, I'd like to congratulate winner Erin Bueller. Erin has been with the Centennial School District over 18 years, all of which have been at Meadows Elementary. While she has taught a number of grade levels during her time at Meadows, for the last several years, Erin has taught kindergarten. Erin's nominator described her as an integral part of all aspects of the school, being someone who goes above and beyond to contribute to a positive school environment. Additionally, Erin uses her creativity to contribute to the positive experiences of students, such as maintaining a well-loved tradition during the challenging COVID years. Her nominator shared, "There were 2 years where we couldn't go on field trips in kindergarten, so she brought the pumpkin patch to the school. She arranged with our sun person to have small pumpkins brought into our courtyard at Meadows. She decorated the entire courtyard with a fall theme, including a picture backdrop area, All of the kindergarten students got to pick one pumpkin from the patch. Erin also demonstrates caring for her fellow staff at Meadows, including leading the Meadows Sunshine Committee to provide celebration in the good times and support in the hard times. During hybrid learning, Erin created the Care Cart, a rolling cart filled with a variety of items for staff, such as water, snacks, personal care items, stickers, magnets, and other special items. Erin would fund some of these items with her own money and also wrote grants to ensure that the cart stayed fully stocked. Many people shared thoughts about Erin's contributions for her nomination, showing just how far Erin's efforts in the Meadow School community reach. As highlighted by one of these contributors, she sees children, she sees colleagues, and she sees parents. People participate and support their community to a greater degree when they feel like they've been seen and they belong. Erin is the teacher that does this for everyone. And now I'd like to open up the opportunity for Erin's nominator to share a few words about why they nominated her for this special award.
So I've known Erin since I started at Meadows, and I've had the privilege to be her bestie at work in kindergarten for, I don't know how many years now, a lot. And when I saw, I never paid attention when the email came out for the Triple C award. Like, I would see the email and honestly probably just deleted it, not even thinking about it. But then this year, for whatever reason, I opened it and I read what it was about, and I'm like, holy moly, that is Erin Bueller. In every aspect, in all 3 C's, that is Erin Bueller. And I started talking to the staff at Meadows, and they're like, yes, we've got to do this. This is Erin in a nutshell. She's the poster child for Triple C. And so then everyone just started flooding me with quotes and memories, and I had past parents reach out to me with memories and children's quotes from other classrooms that had Erin as their teacher. And our PTO contributed to this. And one of the favorite quotes that we got from a student that she had last year was, she was one of a twin. She was a set of twins, and Erin had one of the twins, and I had the other twin. And the twins told their mom that Mrs. Bueller wears cute outfits. And can I just say, like, yes, she does. We love you, Erin, and our school goes around because of you. Love you.
Thank you for sharing about Erin's impact at Meadows Elementary. And now it's my honor to present Erin with the Triple C Award and invite you to say a few words if you'd like to.
I did write it down. Because this is much different than talking to a group of 5- and 6-year-olds in my kindergarten classroom. But thank you to my teaching partner and to everyone here from my staff and students. I have several students here and former staff members and colleagues and families who nominated me. Just thank you so much for this award. I feel so lucky that I've spent the last 18 years teaching at my second home, Meadows. Being creative, planning parties and events, both big and small, brings me so much joy. It's a way that I show love for those around me, and the extra time and energy spent is well worth it when I see the recipient's reaction or my students smile. I don't do any of this alone. My colleagues help pull off my grand ideas and school-wide projects by giving their students time to work during class, or my own family helps by cutting out endless items at home for the next bulletin board project I've come up with. I know I can count on all of them to help me make things happen. My goal has always been to have a classroom that is warm and inviting, and that our school is a beautiful place where students and families feel welcome and hopefully inspired. I got a really nice compliment this week that said that when they walk into my classroom, it's just pure joy, and that is like the highest compliment I could have. I love what I do, the people that I work with, and the students and families that I serve, showing people that they are cared for by the things that I do and the way that I make them feel is my pleasure. Tonight it is an honor to be recognized for my efforts. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you, Erin, and congratulations. Next, I'd like to congratulate our second Triple C Award recipient, Ronaldo Alexander. Ronaldo has been in the Centennial School District for almost 2 years and serves as a campus safety liaison at Oliver Middle School, and also volunteers with multiple student sports and the Fly U program. In his nomination, Ronaldo was described as a student-first based person, and at a school with over 400 students and over 40 faculty, it is reported that he knows everyone by name. Several students described Ronaldo as an important mentor, coach, and trusted adult due to his willingness to connect with students who may be struggling with academics or other matters. Shared one 7th grade student, "He took me under his wing and he mentored me, and he did that because he really cared, not because he had to." A staff member highlighted, "Despite his role in enforcing expectations and in implementing discipline with some of the most challenging behaviors, Ronaldo is beloved and trusted by all students." In addition to building positive relationships with students, Ronaldo also demonstrates support for his colleagues. One staff member noted, "As a colleague, he has provided important feedback for us to improve both the safety and practice within our classrooms, as well as being a beneficial voice in planning meaningful instruction." Multiple students and staff reflected on the ways in which Ronaldo positively contributes to the school culture at Oliver Middle School. One staff member reflected, "His positive impact can be felt in every corner of our community." Principal Jeb Hubbs added, "Ronaldo is a tireless supporter of both teachers and programs and brings an uplifting energy to the entire building. He is an incredibly valuable member of our team, and without a doubt, Oliver is a better place because of him." Now I'd like to open up the opportunity for Ronaldo's nominator to share a few words about why he was nominated for this award.
Good evening, everybody. Neil O'Donnell. I'm the District Safety and Security Coordinator for Centennial, and it was my privilege to nominate Mr. Ronaldo Alexander for this award. I have quickly learned that apparently I need to compare notes with Christine because everything I highlighted she read. So I guess I'm winging it, which won't be hard for me. Ronaldo has been commonly referred to by our team as the glue that keeps it together. He is someone who comes in, day out, smile on his face, realizing the importance of the impact that he has with the students at Oliver and at our other middle schools and high school as well. He's not someone who I ever see have a bad day, and if he is having a bad day, no one can tell. And when I mean no one, I mean no one. He just understands the value of his position and the influence he has on everyone he comes into contact with. One of the quotes I will share that came from one of the staff is this: "Ronaldo Alexander is an incredible human being, and Oliver Middle School won the lottery when we hired him as our safety liaison. Mr. Alexander is the kind of mentor, leader, coach, and colleague that makes you want to better yourself. He creates relationships and trust with students, families, and staff that exemplifies his position and his role at OMS. I often say I'd like to clone him because everything he is a part of is better because of his presence." And I would just say there's not one thing I haven't asked Ronaldo to participate in or assist with that he has said no to. I look forward to the next years that he's with the district as we're looking to have him step into a role to help teach our current and future campus safety liaisons some of the specifics that we do day in and day out. And as I close, I want to share this quote that came from a student and emphasize some of the words that they said just because of the meaning that is to them in their culture. "Mr. Alexander is like an uncle to me. He understands me and what I am saying when others do not. If Mr. Alexander was not at Oliver Middle School, it would be so boring. He is a chill guy. Sometimes he can be nice. Sometimes. But I respect him. And respect for me is a really big word.
Thank you, Neil, for sharing. And now it's my honor to present Ronaldo with the Triple C Award and invite you to say a few words if you'd like to.
I'm not much of a speaker, but what I will say is, for me, I'm not from the Oregon area. I'm originally from Oakland, California. It took one individual that kind of fed into me and everything, and I figured, and it was through my sports. It was through baseball. My baseball coach, he was my PE teacher, so I figured I wanted to do something that I could touch as many lives as possible, and that's why I got into working with kids. It's my passion, it's my drive. Somebody gave back to me. Now I feel like I need to pay it forward. So I want to thank those that said the nice things for me. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Mr. Hubbs. I know you're not here. Thank everybody that had those nice words to say about me. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations. Finally, I'd like to congratulate our third Triple C Award recipient for this year, Annie Garcia. Annie has been with the district for over 5 years and serves as the lead custodian at Butler Creek Elementary. Annie is described by her nominators as possessing an unwavering dedication to ensuring a clean, safe, and functional environment for the 520 students and over 50 staff at Butler Creek. Anne is known for her remarkable grace and positive attitude. Annie's nomination highlighted her skill at building positive relationships with students. In one example, Annie noticed a student sitting alone at lunch one day and sat down with the student. Through their conversation, Annie discovered the student's love of football and encouraged him to join the team that she was coaching. After joining the team, the student became more engaged in school and showed significant academic and social progress. The student's parent, in sharing their appreciation, shared, "Annie has a gift for connecting with students. She sees them as individuals and recognizes their unique needs." Recognized as a leader and role model in the district, Annie often serves as a mentor for other custodians and maintains high standards and best practices that inspire others. As observed by her nominators, her expertise and dedication have contributed to raising the standards of custodial services throughout the district. She is described as a true team player who is always willing to collaborate with colleagues and support their efforts. Additionally, Annie is well known for her problem-solving abilities and for going beyond the call of duty. With her various contributions and focus on the success of others, Annie has truly made a lasting difference for students, colleagues, families, and the community. As noted by her nominators, Annie Garcia is, quite simply, the heart and soul of Butler Creek Elementary. Her contributions extend far beyond the scope of her job description, and her impact on the school community is immeasurable. And now I'd like to open up the opportunity for Annie's nominators to share a few words about why they nominated her for this special award.
Annie. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Gail Sedaris. I'm the principal at Butler Creek. And Annie is my fellow Powerpuff Girl. We were so excited to have you join our team when you did. We were going through a difficult time just across the district, everywhere in the world 5 years ago. And you just came in and you were an amazing light to our school, to our community. And we so appreciate you. Not only are you one of the best custodians that I've ever met or worked with, you're an even better person. Your connection with students is amazing. We have kids come and see you every day. They just want to see Miss Annie. Where's Miss Annie? And you're always willing to jump in and use that connection for good. And help to support our students and our staff. And we just really appreciate you, and we're so proud of you. And looking forward to better days, better years, and much more collaboration and fun times. So, thank you.
And it's now my honor to present you with this year's Triple C Award, and I invite you to say a few words if you'd like to.
It's quite an honor to be here and to receive this, especially from these two women. I wouldn't be here without Butler Creek. I work really hard, and these women are my backbone at Butler Creek. I have such an amazing team, and without you guys, I couldn't do it. So thank you.
Thank you, Annie, and congratulations. Let's give one more round of applause for all of this year's winners.
Thank you, everyone. That was really exciting. And I have to say, as a school board member, oftentimes people want to come to us and tell us the bad things that are happening in the district. And this just brings so much joy. So if you see a school board member in the community, I challenge you to come up and bring more joy to their world and say, well, all the good things happening in the district. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Let's take a little short break so we can do some photography. We're going to take a 10-minute break.
Recording stopped.
7:17. Okay.
Recording in progress.
Next up, we have approval of minutes. The minutes from 4:23 were distributed in board book. Are there any edits or adjustments needed? Hearing none, I'll call for a motion.
To approve the minutes from the last meeting?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
The minutes will be filed as presented. Next up is public forum, and we did not have any commentary come through. So we're going to jump straight ahead to reports. And I'm really excited to introduce Lashmay and Claire again.
Thank you. Okay. Again, we are here from Centennial High School. Super glad to be here with all of you. Kind of sad, but this is our last one with you guys, right? Yeah. Yeah, last one. Before this, I do want to introduce next year's student representatives. Right here, we have Yahir Castro, our ASB president next year, and then Easton Hopkins, our ASB vice president next year, and super glad to have male representation in like board of ASB. So. Okay, so in this first picture, you can see this is us at our spring conference, and this year we were actually able to double our numbers just because we had 2 of our student council classes come with, and we had about more than 30 students go. So we were super excited because honestly, we were probably one of the loudest ones there, and that's what I like because Centennial's the best. Eagles are the best. So yeah. And then here are some more pictures. I will go more in depth. So at the conference, we were actually able to host a workshop where other students from other schools could attend. And our workshop was about community building at Centennial High School. And we had a pretty big turnout. In kind of like the top middle picture, you can see that is our room filled with a whole bunch of students from our neighboring schools. Yeah, I think we were just super excited to share. And then, yeah, then again, I'm just really glad that Centennial was able to win this award because you'll see this award be awarded to us the next following year. So I'm super excited that we were able to start it. And yeah, I'm really, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, the next one is, I'm sorry, the font is a little hard to, oh, actually, it's good right here, but, okay. But our next assembly, or our last assembly, we had our masked singer assembly. Have you guys seen the show? Yes, so we tried to do that, but as you can see on the bottom pictures, they look scary because we don't have the materials to dress them up real nice. Yes, so we let them dress up in hamster balls, and then we just covered it in a black cloth, and then we made our own mask, but I think the masks look a lot scarier than, yeah, than they should be. Oh, wait, don't go yet. You're fine. Oh, yes, sorry. No, yes. Honestly, I don't know if there was a winner. We picked 8 of our staff members to come sing, and the students got to participate in this by guessing which staff member it was. But next year, maybe they could try guessing or try seeing who would win. Yeah, but I think this is a really great event. This is the first year we've ever done it, and it was a great way for us students to work with our staff members. So, yeah. And then prom coming up real soon, May 31st on Saturday. Our theme this year is Midnight Masquerade, and it'll be hosted at the World Forestry Center, same as last year, and we're super excited. Yeah.
So Eagle Fest is also coming up. It's on May 26 to 30. It's the week leading up to prom. Eagle Fest is filled with exciting events and alongside with dedicated Spirit Week. On May 27th, we have Dodgeball Tournament. It's at 5 p.m. It's our first time ever doing Dodgeball Tournament, and it's open to all grades, so every grade feels included. And on May 28th, we have Basketball Tournament. It's at 5 p.m. And on May 29th, we have Powder Puff at 6 p.m. May 30th, we have Powder Puff at 7 p.m. And the next day, May 31st, we have prom at 7 to 10 p.m. And here is more information about each tournament. Dodgeball, it's open to all grades. Basketball tournament, it's also open to all grades as well. Powder tub is boys volleyball. It's open to only juniors and seniors. And powder puff is girl playing football. It's open to only juniors and seniors. And on May 5th to 9th, it was Teacher Appreciation Week. Intro to Leadership class was assigned to take charge. May 5th, we made note cards. And May 6th, we did raffle tickets for staff to win student council members to help them with whatever they wanted. And on May 7th, we hand out U-Rocks. And May 8th, we made origami cranes with notes. And May 9th, we made waffles for them. Yeah.
And then we also encourage everyone to go attend Eagle Fest. This is a really fun event for all of us. It's free to everyone, free for the community. So please let anyone in the community know. We would love to see you there and supporting us students and staff. Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you both very much. I want to thank you for coming and your presentations, and your work on student council has just been, I love the creativity that you guys have brought. And it's just really exciting to see how engaged the student body is and how much school spirit has increased in the last several years. And y'all should be really proud of yourself. You've done great things. We have a small gift that we would like to give you from the board to thank you for your time. I would love to open it up to see if any board members say anything. Please go ahead, David.
Yeah, congratulations again. You guys do awesome work, and I want to thank you again for inviting me into your guys' student council this week. It was amazing. Learned a bunch of stuff, and it was great to get in there and actually listen to your guys' perspectives and hear your guys' opinions on a lot of things. So thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to also recognize, I'll piggyback off of what Chair Solowski said and Principal Miller before, is the school spirit has just increased in abundance, and that's a lot in part to the work that the Student Council and ASB are doing to help increase that. So I just want to recognize that aspect. The presentations that you provide here provide us insight into the world of Centennial High School, which I think is really valuable, and so we appreciate that. Lashmay, it's nice to have known you over the last couple of years. I know that you started with Marisol, and now you're here with Claire, and it's nice to see your confidence blossom over the last couple of years and see all the leadership, and it looks like you've made the most out of your high school experience, so appreciate that. And Claire, appreciate the contributions that you've added this year. You have an inspiring story, and I think that you do a good job of keeping everything organized. So really appreciate the duo this year, and excited to hear about the things that you will do in your future endeavors. So thanks for your contributions.
Yes, please.
It's always nice to hear all the wonderful things that are happening, but I also want to say thank you for sharing when something didn't go great or how you wanted to improve things, because nobody sitting at the table thinks everything is going perfectly all the time. And it's actually nice to hear and know that there are steps that you're talking about how to improve things and what struggles happened here. And so I just encourage next year's duo to not always feel like you have to tell us everything perfect and fantastic that is happening. I know there are many of them, and there will be, but we also like to hear how the improvements are going and what you've learned from different things. That shows all of the growth that you're doing as a group, and so I just want to thank you for that too.
All right.
And I think Principal Miller was going to introduce our, I know that they were recognized during the presentation, but I think Principal Miller's going to build out a little bit who we have coming up for next year.
Yes, and as we're saying, thank you for being our reps. We also get to pass the torch on to our new reps. So I'd like to go ahead and introduce first our two new school board reps for the 2005-2006 school year. First, Yahir Castro, who will serve both as our ASB president and also as our student body rep from Centennial High School, serving on the school board next year. Yahir has been part of the Centennial School District since kindergarten. He attended Powell Butte Elementary, Patrick Lynch Elementary, Centennial Middle School, and now is entering his senior year at CHS. As a first-generation American, he takes pride in his Mexican heritage, which has sharpened his values and his leadership goals. Since his freshman year, he has been actively involved in student council, making a difference every single year, and involved in many different extracurricular activities. His vision focuses on expanding community outreach, especially to support low-income students across our district. He believes that creating an inclusive and engaging events will strengthen student belonging and connection to our school and to our community. He is also passionate about building school spirit, culture, and encouraging school pride, and active student participation in all aspects of learning and school functions. He hopes to inspire his peers to come together and create a positive, lasting impact in our Centennial community, in our schools, and then across their entire experience through our educational system. So I would like to turn it over to Yahir and say thank you for volunteering to serve as our rep next year. Is there anything you would like to add?
I think, no, I think that summed it up, but I'm just very excited and very thrilled to be here and promise to advocate for our Centennial students.
Let's give him a round of applause. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Easton Hopkins. He is going to be our CHS ASB Vice President, our second Student Council rep for next year. He has also been a part of the Centennial community since kindergarten, attending Patrick Lynch Elementary, Centennial Middle School, Oliver Middle School, and now entering his junior year at CHS. He also has family ties and connections that go back even further, with his mother attending Patrick Lynch before him, and his great uncle, as my understanding, was both a teacher and a coach in this district. So a lot of generations here and a lot of commitment to our community. He is also committed to our community and making a difference. In Easton's own words, he said, "Centennial is very important to me. It has inspired me to do my part for my community. My personal goal is to include everyone and ensure that all voices are heard. I hope to make a difference in my community and help students and families feel welcome, supported, and proud to be part of Centennial as I am. I'm grateful for the opportunity and excited to what the future holds." He's looking forward to also being one of our reps next year. Let's give him a round of applause.
I would just like to say I'm excited to see what we can accomplish, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
So let's give one last round of applause to our current reps and our future reps, because this is the student voice. This is what makes the difference in our community. And you guys, I mean, you have made a difference, and you're going to make a difference in the future, and that's what it is about here at Centennial and what it means to be an Eagle. So thank you for all that you've done.
Thank you very much. You guys are welcome to be excused if you would like. We have really enjoyed having you here. Yes. another report coming up. You want to introduce it?
All right, we're going to turn from the celebratory atmosphere that we've had and do a hard pivot left here into the K-12 Health Adoption and Comprehensive Sexuality Plan report. And that will be facilitated by Director of Curriculum and Student Learning, Maureen Callahan.
Wow, thank you. Oh. Good evening, Board of Directors. Thank you for the warm welcome. This evening I'm going to report on two elements of health education. One is our K-12 health curriculum adoption recommendations, and the second is our comprehensive sexuality education plan. I'll be back later this evening to request your approval of both. So I'd like to start first with the K-12 health curriculum adoption. Health is one of those subjects that is totally about providing information, fact-based information, so that students feel empowered to take care of themselves, to develop the knowledge and the skills for their own well-being. And when you have that, you can show up anywhere and learn anything. So I find that health is paramount to really learning all that you can learn and ought to learn in school. So I really think that hits nicely these our two goals, centering student voice empowerment and leadership, but also ensuring equitable access. When our students have the knowledge and skills related to health, then they can advocate for themselves. So this is a summary of our process, and this is really, I would say, a 6-step process that I've generalized over the last several adoptions. We always review the current research. We examine the latest standards through the state, and then we align our vision and to our goal statements with the district. We focus on student belonging, really looking at what is it that we need to do for our students to really elevate their voice in any content area, in this case health. And then we adapt our processes to each level. What does K-5 need, 6-8, and 9-12 in the process of determining their adoption. We go through an analysis process of the curriculum materials. We use the state scoring rubrics. They provide us with one level of scoring of what meets their criteria. And then we pilot the materials, and then we access the experience. What are the perceptions? How did the lessons go? What are the strengths? What are the challenges? We try to collect as much feedback as possible. In the last couple of years, we've gotten very good at high numbers of student feedback, particularly at secondary, which I'm super proud of. And then we make recommendations. And that's, you've heard me talk about this over the last few years with each content area. This year, we're moving forward for grades K-5, the Great Body Shop. That's a continuation of what we have now, and I'll talk about the rationale for that. And then 6 through 12, recommending Live Well Health. And that's the same publishers for 6-8 and 9-12, so there'll be some alignment there. Some of the data that we collected for K-5, the Great Body Shop, this K-5 adoption for health was different than 6-12 because there was only one choice that the state gave us, which was the Great Body Shop. The nice thing about the Great Body Shop is that was our current adoption. We still felt compelled to go out to the field, find out how is it going? Is this the adoption that we want to continue with? And so what you see here are some of the data that we collected from educators. We did not have a usually I have a committee of teachers with one selection, and the elementary teacher being totally stretched with every content area. We decided not to convene them, but instead I used instructional coaches to work with buildings. And then we gathered the input from our teachers. So you can see overall the Great Body Shop is a quality material, as our teachers reported. Generally speaking, high ratings for the quality of the materials, the quality of the lessons, wanting to renew it, and so we felt confident to move this forward for K-5. We do know there's no curriculum that's a silver bullet. Some of the highlights, though, that teachers stated is they like it's engaging, it's enjoyable, there's music connections, movement, there's variety. And some of the stated challenges were, it's a little wordy, and so how do we make that less wordy? It's a lot of information, so how do we shorten the lessons? And then how do we, and then a request to revise the curriculum map, which we would automatically do with any new adoptions. So we would align it to the new standards, but also this is an opportunity to really make those adaptations that they're asking for. So with that, that's the K-5 recommendation. I'd like to just pause for any questions before I move on to 612. Director Stanley.
Thank you. Could you go back to the percentage slide, please? I'm curious if the 76% and 77% are tied to those length of the lessons, the wordiness of the lessons, and whether that percentage rate you predict would go up if those lessons are adapted and the curriculum map revised.
That is a great question that I did not make that connection with just because of the volume of the input. Okay. Okay, 612, middle school and high school. So for the middle school and high school, we surveyed just under 500 students. These are 3 of the, I think, 6 or 7 questions that we ask our students after they experience a lesson. But first, I'll go back to, 6-8 actually had 3 options approved by the state. One was Great Body Shop, one was Live Well, and the other was Good Heart Wilcox. So they really debated between Great Body Shop and Live Well and decided to go with the Live Well in their analysis. For the high school, they had one opportunity, which was Live Well, and we talked about if that was not going to meet their needs, then we could pursue an independent adoption. They decided that this was a quality piece for them. So I'll focus on 612. Just one of the things that's we've been asking with all of our adoptions, do you see yourself represented in the lesson? Usually they for sure experience one lesson, sometimes more. Somewhat to yes, I tend to think about those together. That's still low, right? And I will say that curriculum in general doesn't do a great job yet on that. They do their best. You can see that there's effort made, but I've yet to see a curriculum that really does represent our community. Relevance, though, do you think the content provides health information that would help you, your friends, and your family advocate for themselves, and make the best decisions possible? And that's very strong input. And so that, to me, was a really strong indicator that this was quality material. And then engagement, do the lessons make you want to learn more about health? And again, I wouldn't, if you put the somewhat and the yes together, you're looking okay. But I'm not sure, how that breaks down in terms of how kids feel about school in general. So, but we also asked them to take their perceptions and gather some quotes. So going and analyzing all that they've shared, we were able to pull out some themes. and kids tend to they like the visuals, they like the videos. You know, they want it to make it real, authentic to them. They want to talk more, right? And we hear this just even in our strategic planning, right? Like our kids want to engage with each other more. And that mental health is also important. They like learning about their family and culture. And again, you know, this was grades 6 through 12. They want us to some want us to slow down, right? Some want us to speed up, which is a clear indication of, you know, really focusing on differentiation. We can do both. In this case, many thought the slides were good, but too wordy. And what, you know, I say to that is like, that's year one implementation. How do we adapt so that we're meeting kids' needs? We want to make it relevant, and they want more information about vaping, pregnancy, and relationships. And they want to feel seen. So, overlapping strengths across the 6-12. Very similar, actually, in some ways to the Great Body Shop. You know, the emphasis of the visuals, the health information is helpful, clarity of content. Teachers in their feedback, they thought the online modules seemed more robust and easy to navigate, and they appreciate the scenarios. And again, the scenarios are opportunity for students to engage with each other. So, the weaknesses are challenges, things that we'll want to address in year one implementation. The lack of student representation in lessons. We know that there's specific strategies to get at that, regardless of the curriculum you're using. Limit desire to learn more. Limited desire to learn more. I just lost my mind because I'm not sure what that is. Basically that it doesn't really pull them, you know, like motivate them to keep going, right? So there was some comments about the text being small, and some described the content as repetitive and boring. From a teacher, that's the T, the sex and reproductive content is web-based only, so.
Meaning that there's no room for conversation?
Meaning that it's all digital, that would be on digital and not in a hard copy. Okay. Yeah. So with that, we're recommending the Live Well curriculum for grades 6 through 12. So, questions?
Representation mentioned twice. If you could go back to the percentages, is there, or the survey results, is there, if I can word this correctly, a group that was more represented in the survey results about not being represented in the curriculum?
That's another great question that I wish I had the capacity to dig into. But basically, it's a Google form, and it just is, anonymous from the kids. So there's no way for me to really dial in on specific groups, if that's what you're asking.
And then that was just, and in the weaknesses, that was just comments received that were summarized?
Yeah.
Okay. So it still didn't speak to which group felt underrepresented?
Just that it was at 6-12.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it is worthy of, the reason I put those there is because it's in the implementation that we have to adapt all curriculum. And so really focusing in on that will be a priority.
Clarifying one that piggyback off. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I wrote down. Are there supplements being looked at or purchases for the equity piece, whether it's literature or handheld materials that 612 could dig more into, or maybe be consulted on whether they want a graphic novel type set or a book type set or a magazine type set, something that gives them more the hands-on, but also that visual representation? Is that in discussion?
It's not currently in discussion, but I think it ought to be. And I will say that there are 3 avenues that just like pop into my head immediately. And one is, you're going to love this response, is how do we utilize AI with our curriculum to really diversify to meet the needs of our students. And I think that that is a very viable way to do that, and there's a lot of learning that we have to do with that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we have a licensure for what's called Newsella. And Newsella does a really good job with providing culturally relevant content in every area, every walk of life. And so I think there's huge potential to curate some of the articles that are coming that are current, that are relevant, and that would likely be reflective of our population. So, and then there's a third one that we're looking at that's through our library system that actually would provide lessons. And so that's something that we're exploring right now. So the long answer is yes, and the short answer is not specifically to health yet.
In addition to that, last year, as a part of our Oregon Department of Ed student success plan for our LGBTQ2IS students, we had worked with the county and with the library system and purchased a whole array of supplemental materials that will be the curriculum department's figuring out. And so it's really supporting our gender expansive students and our with a whole lot of content and information. And so there are additional supports that we're trying to figure out how does that connect with all of the new adoptions.
Why is the title the title when it is so comprehensive in relation to what is being mentioned, reviewed, lesson titles, and yet the title of this is what I'm trying to get back to where it was because I was looking through it, Comprehensive Sexuality Education Plan.
Okay.
I mean, you a variety of things that we're going to be talking about that are relevant and responsive to. But the title says, well, it sounds very narrow, and yet your presentation is much broader than that.
It is. The Comprehensive Sexuality Education Plan is Part 2 report. So I haven't quite gotten there. This is intended to be the state-adopted curriculum, core health curriculum adoption, which is overarching, which does capture, I think it's 8 standards around life, everything from healthy relationships to making decisions to advocating for yourself. So this is a comprehensive adoption.
Thank you, that helps, because I clicked on it's like, okay, no, wait a minute, I'm watching this, and I'm looking at this, and I'm having some disconnect with that. And secondarily, when we were talking about representation, Director Lynn, maybe you were getting with that too, in terms of, do you see yourself, right, in this? They call out specific areas. Now, again, I'm probably looking at the wrong document, and if you're going to be answering these questions later, just tell me to wait. But I'm looking at tribal history and shared history for the 8th grade. So we're calling out a very specific group, which is important, right, to us, but we represent a lot of groups, and that would be important too. So why is it, maybe it's this report, but why would that be narrowing so specifically?
Yeah, I think that's better if I answer that once we get there in the Comprehensive Sexuality Education Plan. Yes.
Ahead of the game.
Yes, so think of this as umbrella comprehensive health, this first part. It is just the curriculum materials. And thank you for asking that question. So, Director Wright kind of led us right into the Comprehensive Sexuality Education Plan, but go ahead.
So this is a bit of confirmation bias, but is this adoption a little bit easier now that we have consolidated the 6th grades into the middle school? And can you tell us a little bit about how that might have affected how you did the analysis on these potential adoptions?
That's an interesting question. If anything, it made it just a little bit sticky because like our 6th grade teachers who were 5th grade teachers were used to Great Body Shop, but their colleagues as a band, 6/8 band, were, that's why they really looked at both. And so just made it a little bit more detailed a conversation. If anything, they dug deeper into both. Yeah. With that, if there aren't any more questions, I'll move to the Comprehensive Sexuality Education Plan. This is a thin slice, a very thin slice of our health program. It is required by the state that not only do we have a plan, but that you, the board, approve and reapprove it every 2 years. And so to me, that's a great opportunity for us to look at what we have and decide, is this still appropriate, adequate? Does it meet the current practices and research? So the Comprehensive Sexuality Education Plan, I would say, is comprehensive for the reader to understand our responsibility around human sexuality education. So that's a very thin slice. Now with that, you can see, so this next slide, really, these were the three laws enacted that really started the Comprehensive Sexuality Education Plan. And so many legislations have been added to this, and so because it does impact our students' ability to make good decisions, some of these other areas. But these are the three biggies that we've been building on. In the Comprehensive Sexuality Education Plan, which I think this evening I'll just refer to as the plan, I list, and then links are provided to all the legislation. Tonight, what I would report is are really focused on the changes. So, but the essential elements are really, what is the legislation regarding comprehensive sexuality education? The latest Oregon Department K-12 health standards, which are 2023, so they were in the first version 2 years ago. Human sexuality instructional resources, so that's where it made sense to couple it with a comprehensive adoption. And then communication and guidelines for parents. So that's the, if you look at the law, they would basically be saying you have to have these elements in a plan. So the essential elements that we've changed. So in their OAR 581 Division 22 2045 is the drug and alcohol prevention. And what they've added to that is the lessons or instruction around fentanyl, and specifically lessons around opioids. And that the requirement of that is annual instruction 6-8 and one instruction or lesson at high school. So that's the minimum requirement. They, in this legislation, they also said that they would provide the lessons, and those lessons, I believe, rolled out about 2 months ago. So, we do need to get those in the hands of our health teachers. I've not done that yet, but that's next on the list. And so that's also included in this plan. So, and then the core health curriculum adoption, and of course, dependent on your approval of the health adoption, then that would also be listed in the comprehensive plan. And then lastly, just updated communication and guidelines for parents. Mostly it was just tweaking some things just to make it clearer for parents. Hopefully it does read clearer, and what their options are. So those are the changes in this version for the 2025-27 plan, which again, I'll be back later to request your approval of. Let's see. Yeah, so requirement of the actual content, which should be represented in the plan, not, I include all the links and the access to, but parents have every right to view those lessons at any point, but really it's growth and development, it's sexually transmitted infection, it's protection methods, boundaries and consent, and sexual orientation and gender identity. So these are the materials which we talked about. So the Great Body Shop and then Live Well are the comprehensive health curriculum adoptions. In addition to 6-8, we'll continue to use what they used the last couple of years, which is Get Real Education. And then high school uses Positive Prevention Plus. So that's a little bit more detailed and specific. And then this really is clarifying that letting families know, hey, we are teaching these lessons and they're coming up, and here's when it's coming up. And you have an opportunity to view these at any point in time. Students can opt out of a portion of a lesson, or they can opt out of the entire unit. And what the guidelines that we're adhering to is if it's a part of a lesson, then we really try to work with the parents to how might we adapt this, you know, or what can I provide for your child. However, if it's the entire curriculum, by law, the parents are responsible for providing the instruction that complies with the law. So, with that, concludes the report for the plan. Questions?
I've got some questions. I'll start with one. So this was mostly on comprehensive sexuality plan. Why is drug stuff included in there and not included with the health stuff?
Yeah, it is in the health stuff as well. Okay. When you look at, let me see if I can find this slide. Hold on. When you look at this slide and you think about drug and alcohol prevention, you know, the whole concept of the original OAR is preventative. And so we know that the reason that we are teaching these lessons in the order developmentally is because it's about 2 years before a student would actually be faced with actually having to make that decision. So when you think about drugs and alcohol and how that can impact a child's ability to make a decision, that's why I put it in the plan.
Yeah, so I think that, I'm glad to hear that it's included elsewhere, because I just want to make sure that, like, that's something that I don't want people to opt out of, right?
Yeah. Agreed.
So
yeah, Denise, Director Wright and I were having that very conversation about another content within the plan. That and the legislation says that parents have that right? So we have this thing, but it is in the comprehensive core health adoption. I want to assure you of that. Yes.
Great. Good.
Yeah, I have a question about the opt-out. How is credit determined in that scenario, if it's given at all?
That's a good question, and I've had some conversation with high school health teachers, and to date, I mean, really, they haven't had, at least that I know of, conversations I've had with them, they haven't had experience with that, but I don't know. Principal Miller, if you can speak to that?
Yeah, and to my knowledge, in the last 3 years, we've only had 2 opt-outs, and then what we've done is we've worked with the standards and saw if there's another way. And oftentimes the parent will say, hey, is there a different way that we could still meet this standard, and work with them. And so we've always found a workaround to this point, so that's how we've been handling it. Yeah, it's a case-by-case basis.
That's great, because it sounds like there has not been a wholesale opt-out. Okay.
In high school.
Now, in that scenario, what is the review process to determine if they should get credit if they're opting out of a entire curriculum?
So it's a review. So it's the same thing that you have your teacher who's certified, by the state to say if they met the standards or not. They review. The department will actually have this conversation and say, usually they'll develop a rubric. What does it actually mean to demonstrate to meet this standard? And then, it's the student demonstrating whatever that standard is. And so then the teacher will sign, hey, this student has met that standard. They actually submit that to me. I actually have to sign off on it as as part of this, and then we assign the credit is how it works.
Okay, so it's not just like a parent says, I'm opting out, and then I have to just submit something that says, I sent them to Boy Scouts or something like that, and I'm calling that equal. That's
No,
not
if you opt out, it's not automatically, well, we're just going to give you a grade or a pass. And that hasn't been the way that's been working, because they still have to meet the standard in some different way is what we put in place so far. Now, if there's a mass opt-out or something, like there's a religious objection, of course we would continue to work and try to figure out that, because we always want to meet all the needs of anybody involved. But so far, that hasn't been our experience in this case.
Great, thank you very much.
Move. One, it's very good to hear that you don't have a lot of opt-out, situations coming your way. So my question may be answered in the sense that the curriculum is, week 7 through 9, we are going to use this unit, right? And so that student may or may not, if they were opted out, would have an alternative place to go or do. My question is, as a teacher, I'm talking about it for X period of time, right? This is where the curriculum is, but I get asked the question, 4 weeks later on a topic that this student has opted out of. So that it puts a lot of burden on the instructor to know who and how and what can be discussed in the classroom. And sometimes those are led by the students. They're not led by the teacher. The student asked the question. And I've got just picking on you, Jess. I've got an opt-out person in my classroom. What do you say to your instructors when they're confronted with something like that? Although there may be only like 2 or 3, students, puts an awful lot of burden on the instructor to be careful about some kind of line that they might cross. So, hey, those of us who are teachers we think about these things.
Yeah, in my conversations with the health teachers, they're so committed to making sure our kids have information about themselves that they are pretty determined to do everything they can to work with the parents so that the student is maximizing that experience. That's what I would say. That been my experience working with them through both versions of the plan and the health adoption.
And what we have found so far is the opt-out has been very specific. Hey, I really don't want my student exposed or to get this particular lesson. We've not had somebody opt out of, like all sex ed. That has not been our experience, but it's been more specific and nuanced. So we haven't had to experience that yet.
Yeah. And I would just add that if you read the legislation, you really can't. You can't opt out of all of it, but just like that wholesale.
In the high school, in the elementary schools, are we seeing a greater rate of opting out?
I think that's a problem that we'll have to attend to, not just with just educating our profession, that we have an obligation to make sure that we're instructing those lessons first. Honestly, that's one of our growth areas for elementary. So, but I don't know of a lot of opt-outs that are happening at all.
I will say I like that the communication comes from the district. I am concerned about individual teachers and the message that they're sending a whole classroom to opt out, potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, that is work we have to do. Agreed.
Thank you. Callahan. Superintendent Owens, Superintendent Owens.
I need some walk-up music.
Yeah. Our wrestling team was Enter the Sandman.
Principal.
Getting some lead-in music.
We have Principal Miller join our cabinet from time to time, and he has walk-up music. It's the A-Team theme. True story. All right, I'm glad the good graces extended to my report. Hopefully it meets your expectations. It's a standard-sized one tonight. So greetings, board members. It's my pleasure and privilege to share with you this update about happenings in our school district. As I've mentioned before, I'm making a point to highlight the artwork that our schools are featuring here in the district office. This month, we have art that Pleasant Valley students created for their multicultural celebration on April 17th. For this project, families and students across all grade levels collaborated in making cultural posters. Additionally, the cherry blossoms you see in the case on the bottom are from Miss Reddy and Miss Morgana's third grade classes. So I encourage you, if you haven't already, to take a look on your way out this evening. Centennial School District is once again offering a comprehensive summer learning program for students in grades K through 12, made possible through continued support from the Oregon Department of Education and partnerships with community organizations. Programming will run Monday through Friday from July 7th through the 25th, with staffing and coordination taking place the week prior. This year's theme, Cultivating Joy, Connection, and Curiosity, is reflected across all grade levels through a blend of academic support and enrichment activities. Elementary and middle school students will participate in Lit Camp. K-5 students will participate in Math Camp. And then also there will be STEM-based enrichment through Camp Invention and other Sun partner offerings. High school programming includes two pathways: credit recovery for students in grades 9 through 12, and also the 9th grade Counts transition program, which integrates academics, enrichment, and field trips for rising 9th graders. Programs are staffed by Centennial educators and Sun partners, with services offered at Butler Creek, Centennial Middle School, and Centennial High School. This year's program is supported by Centennial's allocation of $813,000 from ODE's 2025 state summer learning grants. These grants, totaling $35 million statewide, were established under House Bill 5047 and are administered by ODE to support evidence-based summer learning programs focused on improving literacy and academic outcomes, particularly for students reading below grade level. On Thursday, May 29th, Centennial will conduct its Spring Data Summit, the third and final district-level data analysis cycle for the year. This routine is a key component of our continuous improvement process outlined in Roadmap 27, helping us monitor the impact of our teaching and learning practices and making informed adjustments to strengthen instruction and systems. During the summit, representative members from each school's leadership team will engage in a structured process to review and reflect on student outcome data and professional practices aligned with their school improvement plans and Roadmap 27 goals. Unlike prior summits that focused on individual trimester data, this session will take a year-in-review approach, allowing teams to examine patterns across all 3 trimesters. In the afternoon, school teams will begin action planning to revise and strengthen their improvement plans for the next school year in 2025-26. Last Wednesday, Director of Student Services Denise Wright and I met with Brad Ketch, the CEO of Rockwood Community Development Corporation, or RCDC, and other RCDC representatives at their Gresham office to discuss potential collaboration opportunities. RCDC is a nonprofit organization committed to addressing the systemic challenges in East Multnomah County, particularly in the Rockwood neighborhood, Oregon's most diverse and economically underserved community. RCDC's initiative focus on 4 key areas: housing, health, food access, and economic development. Their efforts include managing transitional housing through the Rockwood Tower, organizing health fairs, supporting food systems via the Rockwood Food Systems Collaborative, and stimulating entrepreneurship among underserved populations. Notably, RCDC has housed over 2,400 individuals, delivered more than 1,300 COVID-19 vaccines, and fed over 53,000 individuals through their programs. Our discussion centered on aligning RCDC's community-based services with Centennial School District's student and family support systems. Potential areas of collaboration include integrating housing stability resources, health services, and food access programs to better support our students' well-being and academic success. We look forward to exploring these opportunities further to enhance the support network for our students and their families. Centennial School District is proud to serve as the host site for the East County Building Bridges Series, a 4-part community event focused on violence prevention, belonging, and collective action. Beginning May 15th and continuing through weekly through June 5th, this series brings together youth, families, public agencies, and community leaders for learning, dialogue, and partnership. Sessions include trainings and workshops on bias crime response, de-escalation strategies, and collaborative planning for community-based violence prevention projects. These gatherings reflect cross-sector collaboration that we know is essential to creating safe, inclusive environments for our students and families. On the screen here, and you can't see it too well, but anyway, it's there. On the screen here, you can see dates and areas of focus for each meeting in the series. We're grateful to our partners, including the Oregon's Coalition Against Hate Crimes, the Oregon Department of Justice, Cure Pacific Northwest, the City of Gresham, Portland Police Bureau Equity Inclusion Office, and Multnomah County for leading this work. And we welcome the opportunity for Centennial to support a place where community voices can be heard and empowered. Thanks to our district MTSS TOSA, Megan Christopher, for bringing this opportunity to East County. In late April and early May, I participated in a series of meetings and events alongside other Portland area superintendents to strengthen partnerships with City of Portland leadership and advocate for continued investment in youth and community services. On Tuesday, April 29th, I joined Director Lynn and fellow superintendents in meetings with Mayor Keith Wilson, directly followed by a meeting with Portland City Council District 1 representatives Candace Avalos, Jamie Dunphy, and Loretta Smith. These meetings focused on relationship building and shared advocacy around sustaining critical programs such as Sun Community Schools, Operation Ceasefire, and Safe Routes to School. That Friday, May 2nd, I attended Mayor Wilson's State of the City address at Franklin High School, where he publicly announced that his upcoming budget will preserve funding for Sun programming, which is funding that had previously been at risk. This announcement reflects the strong collaborative advocacy from school districts and partners and affirms the city's continued support for vital services that directly impact student and family well-being, and we look forward to deepening our collaborative efforts with the city moving forward. Last week, we celebrated Teacher Appreciation Week from May 5th through 9th. While appreciation for our educators should be ongoing, this dedicated week offered meaningful opportunity to pause and acknowledge the talent, care, and commitment our licensed staff bring to their classrooms every day. At a time when the landscape of public education continues to shift and when the public discourse doesn't always reflect the depth and complexity of our work, our teachers remain focused on meeting the diverse needs of students with care, expertise, and persistence. Their work is both intellectually rigorous and emotionally demanding, and it deserves to be recognized and respected. As part of our recognition efforts, I attended the annual Teacher Appreciation Breakfast on Wednesday, May 7th, held at the Centennial Middle School cafeteria. It was a chance to connect with staff, express gratitude in person, and thank them for the impact they make. Thank you to everyone who helped coordinate this event and made our teachers feel seen and appreciated. Okay. Next Tuesday, Chief Communications Officer Christine Andrag and I have been invited to attend the Gresham Chamber Business Excellence Awards Luncheon. They have been saying, or excuse me, they have a saying about not counting your chickens until they hatch. And I generally like to underpromise and overdeliver. However, I will say that our 2020 bond work has been getting notice, particularly as it relates to our use of local vendors and contractors. Director Andrews knows where I'm going with this. So we may be in the running for the Try Local First Award. The Gresham Chamber has been mum about why they've invited us, so we shall see. Surprise. That is, what day is that? Tuesday, May 20th? May 20th. And if you're interested in attending, please contact Executive Assistant Grindle. Later this month, on Friday, May 30th, we'll be hosting our annual Centennial Retirement Celebration at Persimmon Country Club to honor staff members retiring this year. On the screen, you'll see a previous graduating class representing decades of dedication and service to our schools and students. Our retirees always appreciate having board members in attendance, and your presence is a meaningful way to recognize their contributions. Missy has already provided a calendar invitation for this event. If you haven't already, please indicate whether or not you plan to attend so our team can plan accordingly. And with that, I invite any questions or comments you may have, and that concludes my superintendent's report.
Learning, I think I read that the legislature provided 2 years worth of money. Do we know if we'll be recipients in year 2? Because there has been a lot of complaints about it being so late in the game that it's so hard to plan. And now, if we know that we'll have the money not only this summer, but next summer as well, is that happening?
I'm going to risk getting out of my depth pretty quickly here, but I'll take a run anyway. So what I'll say is they actually allocated 3 years of funding. For whatever reason, in year 3, there's a substantial step down in the amount. And I don't know if that's because the legislative session will come up in the biennium and they'll be able to reassess that for the 3rd year, which would be the 1st year of the subsequent biennium. So I'm imagining that will be revisited. But this is the first time in recent memory, if at all, that we've had funding awareness in terms of what it would be in the subsequent year. But then to your question about what the amount will be, just because they provide an allocation doesn't mean that we will qualify or know what the amount is. And I can't specifically answer the time frame for that, but I'm imagining that ODE has a formula that they're going to be able to enact that formula relatively quickly. And ODE recognizes, as well as school districts, that trying to stand up this programming at the last minute every year is exhausting, untenable, and not sustainable. So that's something that I imagine is on the horizon, is that we'll know. Qualification factors include, because it isn't a straight dollar amount sent to all districts, and I wish more funding was provided in this equitable way, but it's weighted based on certain demographic and achievement factors, and so that's how the allocation is made. So that's kind of a long-ranging answer there, and I'll offer Director Callahan or even incoming Director Olson to, because I know she's involved in summer programming where she currently is as well. So anything that you would add to that?
Yep.
Part of the challenge that we've also had that relates to the late staging, if you will, is staffing. Are we having staff step up and want to do this? Because it's tough to be ready for something like this if you don't even know it's coming, and then you have to ask our staff to, are you available? And then plans have already been made. It must be difficult to manage the staffing of a program that you just got money for.
I'll offer just an initial take, and then Director Callahan can get into the in-depth, is that we've had staff asking and asking and asking if we're offering summer programming, so there's people that are kind of at the ready who want to be involved. We're also scaling our programming back a bit, so that should help us to right size in terms of, you know, once you offer programming in the summer year over year over year, either people want to do it year over year, or they start kind of saying, I'm ready to sit this one out. So Director Callahan, what would you offer?
Yeah, I would say first we submitted on May 12th. So, and teachers we were getting emails from teachers classified, like, when is this available? You know, are we going to do it? So there is interest. The requirements of the grant really, it would be counterproductive for us to do a open to everyone because they're really expecting us to focus on literacy. They're expecting us to focus on the specific students who need support with literacy, and they're expecting to see growth. So in the 3 weeks that we'll have them. So, but to answer your question, we do have interest. We have our internal application posted, our external, and our planning administrators are getting plenty of inputs that way. So we do have some in terms of the implementation for administering over the program. So it'll be, at this point, it's Butler Creek. We'll host all of elementary. CMS will host middle school and high school at the high school. So we're able to streamline it to 3 locations, which helps with the capacity piece in terms of staffing. So I have all the confidence in the world that we'll be able to staff it.
And transportation?
Transportation is also included.
So
At all levels. Yeah.
So any student from any part of our district can get to Butler Creek as the example?
Yes.
Okay, just, that was the other thing. Yeah, thank you.
You said the focus was on literacy, but I thought I heard James say that it was going to have camp invention. Are they partnering to do like a STEAM-focused literacy-based curriculum? Is that the idea?
Yeah. It has to have a literacy component. We need to really focus on that, but that doesn't mean that we can't do other pieces.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the camp invention is a really comprehensive.
It's delightful.
It is,
Yeah.
isn't it? Okay, yeah. So.
I'm an
and it is
admin for it,
you
so
can
it is
you
delightful.
can
Yes.
connect it to
Yeah,
literacy,
okay, I
no
just wanna make
problem.
sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm always going on about the bus passes. I know we had last year, as both a parent and board member, I remember we had some delays and some like roadblocks. I would just hope that we can like have a program where all of our summer students are getting bus passes before school gets out. So, and not like at the end of summer school, which I believe happened to some people last year. So just hope, that's just a comment. I don't need questions or anything on it. I'm just hoping it happens, and I'll check in on it.
Note taken.
Thank you. And then the building bridges. I was looking back really quick because it felt like this is the first time I'm hearing about it. It was kind of, all I can find in my communications is it's kind of buried in one of the parent notes, the parent view thing, and it's like 10 pages down of scrolling. If we're trying to have community conversations, it seems like it would behoove us to have the school board members invited to these things. And then even as chair of the Centennial Community Association, I've never heard about this, so I'm not sure who was doing outreach for it.
Director Wright, are you able to speak to that? Because I know that you were working with Megan as far as some of that was concerned.
Yes. So a similar event and similar series have been happening on the west side for quite a few years, and this is the first time that it's coming out to East County. And so there have been a collective group, all of the folks that were advertised on the slide that Superintendent Owens had. So they've been pushing it out in networks, and then I'm realizing as you're saying that we might have potentially missed some opportunities for this week, but I'm also looking at Christine because I think flyers were sent through social media, not yet. So it looks like, because we have 3 more sessions. So this week and next week are really focused on adults in the community and different organizations. And then the last 2 sessions are really focused for youth to attend. And so there has been a push out to students in various places. And knowing it's the first year, it's kind of a who's going to show up, who's engaged, and then how do we get this forward. So if there's additional ideas of how to make sure that community organizations and others know about it, we'd be happy to take that in and figure out how to get it to them.
Yes, I would like that. Thank you very much.
What about Rockwood? What about the Rockwood community? I thought for sure you were going there.
Rockwood Community Development?
Yeah. How, it just happened? boundary?
They're coalition partners.
Yeah, does the Rockwood implies a boundary, right? But how, is it involving us as well? I mean, and have you guys been involved with them as well, the Centennial community?
Yeah, our specific committee based on resiliency,
Uh-huh.
and it has been building up a network and a kind of coalition of local things. And Rose Development CDC is definitely
Okay.
represented on that. So it definitely spans beyond like the Centennial Portland boundaries.
Right.
And we're always looking for more opportunities to partner with Centennial Gresham as well, and Rockwood,
Wood.
and Hazelwood, and
Okay, all
Pleasant
right.
Valley, and several of the other, geographically based neighborhoods.
Good.
That we can, I think, we could do a lot better to get these people represented, and especially if there's things specific to get adults in the community there. We're always fighting to get that message out, and we're often left out of the loop.
Thank you. I was wondering, it's like, where's David in this? Thank you.
That was all my questions. Thank you.
Any other questions? Fantastic.
Oh, I'm sorry, I lied,
do it.
I lied.
Nope, we passed that moment.
Just, retirements, a lot more on the average.
I was
fewer
just
than-
talking about that with Executive Assistant Grindle today, and it looks like we have about 15 or so.
Yeah, I heard between 16 and 18.
Okay.
Some are still coming in.
It's still
so.
in flux, okay. And I would say average is about 30, maybe, so we're a little under, but you never know. There's a lot
Right.
of time between now and May 30th.
Okay, curiosity.
They don't, yeah, not
No.
everybody attends.
Okay, so let us move on to confirmation items, and then we'll take another 5-minute break. 'Cause it's been a long evening.
Motion to approve confirmation items as listed in the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. 5-minute break.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Is your mic on?
Welcome back, everyone, to the Centennial School Board meeting. We're really excited to be here for y'all, and we're going to try to wrap this up. So let's move on to board action items. We don't have any old business, but there is some new business, and I'll pass it over to Superintendent Owen to introduce.
All right, first on the docket, we have Director Southerton. He has a transportation supplemental plan. It should be good news, at least at this stage. It's a little bit of, we don't know, but this is a step in trying to find out if we can qualify. So with that cryptic intro, I'll go ahead and toss it over to Director Southerton.
Absolutely. Thank you, Superintendent Owens. And as Superintendent Owens alluded to, this is the first step in the process. If it's approved at the board level, it gets submitted to the Oregon Department of Education for their final authorization as they reimburse us for pupil transportation. So, step one. So, this is a proposal of a supplemental transportation plan to allow 100% of transportation for 4 schools in our district, due to the unique conditions for students that walk to those schools on those walk routes. So you'll recall that busing of students is provided if a student lives more than a mile away from a K through 8 school, or a mile and a half away from a 9 through 12 school. So a high school or a elementary or middle school, right, with those grade levels. And you can think about that, that's a long distance, but that's in statute, and it's in board policy that they need to live that far away, unless there is a hazard or some reason why they cannot walk to school. So previously, our district has adopted a supplemental plan for Pleasant Valley because there are no safe walking routes to Pleasant Valley, as they are on 2 main thoroughfares without sidewalks, with barely a shoulder to walk on. And so 100% of students are currently eligible for transportation at Pleasant Valley Elementary. The proposed supplemental plan will now include 100% for Patrick Lynch, Park Lane Elementary, and Oliver Middle, due to similar but different conditions. So poor lighting, lack of sidewalks on those roads, and then a large amount of people experiencing homelessness along the walk routes. So those pose potential hazards to students, and we have had issues with that over the years. So with that, it's recommended that the Board of Directors of Centennial School Districts approves the new supplemental transportation plan, allowing for bus transportation to be provided for 100% of students attending Pleasant Valley Elementary, Park Lane Elementary, Patrick Lynch Elementary, and Oliver Middle. I welcome any questions you may have.
Yeah, I want to start with, I'm super supportive of this. I love the plan. Reading through this, I had some really big concerns about the language surrounding homeless people. When I look at this, I don't see any specific numbers or statistics to show increases or any specific incidents. We have had several students murdered by traffic. And this, when I'm reading this, it looks like we're putting that threat of safety right on the same level. And I think it is very important that this body does not villainize those families, that we recognize those are some families that attend our schools, that these are people from our community, and that if we can't use language that maybe puts a target on their back as a problem to be removed to make it safer for our community. So I was just kind of concerned about the kind of broad strokes, because I've walked down every single one of these streets. If there's specific incidents in specific intersections, then I want to work with our community partners in Portland or Gresham, and get people resources and work to make that a safe intersection. But again, I have very broad concerns when we take a red map, slap it all over Centennial neighborhood, and make the public feel like any of these streets could be unsafe without the, on kind of a anecdotal, or generalized impression.
Thank you. I welcome that feedback. That was not the first item listed in the justification and the reason. We have unimproved streets, we have unimproved roads without sidewalks, without shoulders, poor lighting, and we did cite those at the beginning, but I do welcome that feedback, and I hear that feedback. That is not our interest in any way. I agree with all the points that you made, and so I regret if it came across as anything different than as you presented.
We've known for a long time that we've had issues in these areas for the lack of lighting, all the things you mentioned. But there's been some talk about these improvements being made to this part of East Multnomah County. Does this in any way help that argument to get it done, to have safe passages, or does it hinder because it says, well, you know, you've taken care of the schools? And then the second part of the question is, where are you getting the drivers, or is it part of the existing routes? Because we have also heard, well, we see a school bus go right by us type situation. So that's the other question.
Yeah, excellent questions. I can only offer you anecdotal answers, and because there's no evidence that it would hinder or nor help our interest in having improvements to these streets. We do have good partners at the city and county level, and there is strong interest from ODOT and other funding sources, PBOT and others, to improve these roads, and there's very limited funds. So the planned improvement, for example, in front of Powell Butte Elementary is scheduled to happen next summer. And it's been several years, you know, in the planning after funding was allocated, and it's been proposed for many more years, right? And so I don't think this would hinder it. I think it could possibly help it. And I think, you know, there's no reason to not proceed. They will not, to my knowledge, they won't look at our supplemental plans when they look at the improvements. They'll simply look at all the impacts going on in those roads and community members and others. So in regards to staffing, great question. Complex. You know, we are seeing more applicants for our positions now than we have in the last 3 or 4 years. I think that is a product of the economy amongst other issues going on. Yes, all these buses are on their way to school already and go by these walk routes, right? Because they're going from farther out and they're coming in. So many of the same routes have capacity on them, especially at the elementary level. We may need to add 1 or 2 routes is what our assessment is now. It will depend on participation because this will be offered to all students enrolled, but some may not elect to have that. Some may, you know, live right across the street and still want to walk. Some may enjoy riding their bike. And so we don't know what the actual addition will be at this point in time, but we're remaining flexible. We've accounted for it in the budget because we are insourcing the outsourcing of the special education transportation and other transportation that's happened. So it is a cost neutral request at this point in time. And any additional expense would be reimbursed by the state by 70%. So should there be any additional cost, it will be minimal because that is a variable part of our funding. They reimburse you based on your actual expenses in transportation, and they reimburse you at 70% of your operating costs. So great questions. I can certainly report back should this body approve the plan and should the Oregon Department of Education authorize the plan and we implement the plan. I'm happy to report back, you know, January, February of next school year after we get things started and we see how things shake out.
Not directly tied to the ones you were adding, but as the construction becomes chaos along Powell, and it's no longer going to be safe to walk anywhere or get out of our neighborhood, is it going to be a further discussion where we might offer something like this for Powell Butte families, or just like me to take me to work, just things along that line?
Well, you know, we don't have a lot of openings, but we may have an opening here if you're already in district. So, good question. Currently, we don't require students to cross busy thoroughfares, and so we currently have bus stops on Powell already. So that construction may impact our routes, but students should not have to walk along Powell currently.
As they start moving for all the side streets and closing everything down, though, and making that chaotic, will that?
Potentially, yeah. We might have some minor adjustments that happen, and we may need to add a couple of stops, right? Because what may have been a half block kind of coming out of a side street on the Powell up to a bus stop now may not be available. I mean, we might have to go into the neighborhoods more than we go into now. Yeah, so we'll be flexible.
Related to that?
Mhm.
I thought it was, yeah, I thought we were just on this, but that raises a good question because we had presentations last month at the neighborhood for ODOT on Powell.
Mhm.
And now we have next month, it's going to be Peabody because they're doing between 154th and 174th in street improvements. And the community is kind of tired of the just slowing improvements.
Gotcha.
But I was wondering how well are they working with you guys to identify, better crosswalks and better crossings
Yeah.
outside of just their general scope that they're working?
Yeah, I would say we have a great partnership with them, and we're in contact with them monthly on one topic or another. Even if it's just checking in on the 174th project or on our Safe Routes to School grant, on improvements that are happening in Gresham and otherwise, the Park Lane Park opening and that traffic detour. So we have really responsive partners. They have limited funding available, so we often ask for the lighted crosswalk stops with the flashing lights or, other kind of improvements, and they kindly apologize and say they don't have money for that. But when they do have a crosswalk, like, again, for the 174, sorry, that's the project we're most involved with, they ask us at what street or what corner makes the most sense. Where do we have students coming in from adjoining, neighborhoods, right? Yeah. They notice, yeah, for sure. They noticed, they had a crosswalk right across from the bus depot by Powell Butte, and now it goes right into the community garden. They're like, yeah, that's probably not a great place for a crosswalk anymore. At a point in time, it was. So we shifted that with the plan, and so, or we provided feedback, and they accepted our feedback or approved our feedback and shifted that. So I would say, yeah, really, really strong collaboration. Just funding is the issue.
Is the crosswalk going to line up between the elementary school and the gate that opens there on 174?
I think that's the intent, that it's closer to that. Yeah.
That'd be great.
Exactly.
Timeline from approval, so it gets approved here, you submit, when would you think you're going to know?
We're told that it should be 30 to 60 days on the Oregon Department of Education side for potential approval.
Giving us time then to let families know.
Exactly. Yeah, our intent would be, with your approval, we would engage the schools to start doing some light surveying to say we're looking at possibly offering transportation to all students at these schools next school year. Would you potentially be interested in transportation? Should it be offered? And just try to do a whisper campaign, for lack of a better term, right? And kind of like, don't want to overpromise, because we don't want to, we don't take away the agency of this body to approve or deny. We don't want to take away the agency of Oregon Department of Education to approve or deny or modify, right? We don't want to walk anything back, right? But we do want to get an idea so we can start building routes in anticipation of approval. Yeah. Great questions.
I move that we approve the new supplemental transportation plan, allowing for transportation to be provided for 100% of the students attending Pleasant Valley Elementary, Park Lane Elementary, Patrick E. Lynch Elementary, and Oliver Middle School.
Second. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
The ayes have it. This is exciting. I'm really excited to also see the impact on attendance, because I know that, like, I've had a really, like, Pleasant Valley's attendance is a little bit better than all the others. And I've had this underlying suspicion it's because of the transportation. And so I'm really excited to see how this shakes out.
You're not the only one with that underlying suspicion.
I may not have come up with it originally. It may not
That's
be an
good.
original suspicion. Okay.
My point being, we've had those conversations internally as well, yeah. All right, so we've got Director Callahan for the next 4. As you can see, she's here. She's got her successor over waiting in the wings, and she's hoping to leave with no regrets and a clear mind and a clear policy plate. So
That's right. Just for you. Thank you. I am seeking your approval of our K-12 health curriculum adoption that includes Great Body Shop for grades K through 5. and Live Well Health for grades 6 through 12. There are other questions.
Move to approve the plan as presented.
All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Next.
Thank you. Next, I am seeking your approval for the K-12 Comprehensive Sexuality Education Plan, which will go from 2025 to 2027.
Make a motion that we approve the plan as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Great, thank you. Next, we have graduation requirements, IKF, which is a little cumbersome. I am going to ask my colleagues, Director Wright and Principal Miller, to come join me. So if you have questions, we can just take care of those directly. But while they're making their way here, I'd like to bring forward for consideration as a first read policy IKF, the graduation requirements. This also includes deleting the current AR for IKF. And in short, they've taken many of the content from that and they've put it into the renewed policy. The proposed revisions ensure the alignment to the current state requirements, and they really break down into 6 areas. So the first area is that if we include an additional credit above state requirements, like our honors diploma, that needs to be placed in the policy, which we have. And I believe that in your board packets, it's page 133. The second is replacing the alternative certificate and changing the language to certificate of attendance, which you'll see throughout the policy. The third change is adding 0.5 for higher education and career path skills class, and then also a 0.5 for personal finance. The next one, it adds 0.5 civics, which was actually added in 2021. And then lastly, based on Division 2022 OAR allows our English learners to demonstrate proficiency in using essential skills in the student's language of origin. So those are the 6 shifts, and with that, we'll open it up to questions.
Motion to adopt for policy.
All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 The ayes have it.
Make it make sense.
Thank you.
Make it make sense.
Okay. This will definitely be the showstopper.
Yeah, let's, we were waiting for this one.
So many red words. Okay.
So the next policy is IKFB, which is graduation exercises. This policy is intended to align with the state law that mandates allowance of Native American items of cultural significance at graduation ceremonies. This revision explicitly permits students to wear these items, demonstrating our commitment to respecting cultural practices of our Native American students. Questions?
Haven't we already been doing this? It's very colorful, very colorful our graduations have been, and a recognition of all sorts of community members, right? So this is just catching up with what we've been doing?
Yep.
Updating.
And I would also add that this is an optional policy, given that, we are already doing that, I thought we should bring it here as a first read to see.
I think my concern would be, who are we leaving out?
Mm-hmm.
And so if we say we are allowing all Native American, do we need to be explicit in this that we allow folks from all cultures to represent their culture in their graduation regalia? And does that then water down what they're trying to do here. So, I mean, that's my question.
Yes, which is my dilemma as well, and so I thought, if it's a first read to, better understand the will of the board to continue this work.
Yeah. Why, hello.
Why, hello. Well, I do not have it right in front of me. On page 2, there is a little blurb that has a little caveat, and it opens it up for other culture, and if I can see it really quick.
Or other items.
Yep, so it's in the brackets, or other items of cultural significance. So that was a piece we had talked about too. How do we make sure that we're supporting all of our families?
Love it.
And Mr. Millen, I also wonder, like, if you want to talk about how this plays out in practice, because many students ask for this.
Yeah, and you see this play out in practice. I mean, you've already pointed out this is what we do right now. Particularly the policy, though, if you'll read very carefully, it's talking about also the robes, and this is where it becomes a little bit more nuanced. And so Native American and then military particularly allowed to wear non-robe, but everybody else does wear robes, and that's our current practice. And then to celebrate culture, you'll see, we call it stoles.
Yes.
That's what, or you'll see the necklaces, especially like our Pacific Islander community and all the other stuff. But when it comes to robes, where we sort of draw the line, just because of uniformity, you're looking down there, the celebration aspect is military service. If you're active, you could wear your military. And then our Native American, 3 years ago we had somebody wear a Native American dress. Otherwise, you wear robes, but of course you could celebrate your culture over the robes, and that has been how it is, and that's part of what this is catching up with, is basically catching up to what our current practice is.
Thank you.
Can you tell us in a practical manner, then if it's the caps, what's the policy there?
So we scan the caps. As you know, the thing is, everybody always wants to be able to say, look for this, to be able, so my parents could identify. We'll scan just to make, you might or might not know this, but everybody actually, we do our dress rehearsal that day, and then part of our dress rehearsals, we actually go and then we stop at the elementaries and they actually tour the elementaries as part of showing what a portrait of a grad is. But the caps particularly, as part of that, we're actually scanning, making sure it's not going to be something that's super distracting. Then we do ask them to take it off. Like last year, there was somebody with a beach ball that was about 6 feet, and you can't do that because that's blocking other people's view. But as long as it's not disruptive, then we allow it, especially the top.
How do you deal with political
The conversation.
Political questions.
Almost every conversation, so a lot of this just gets bumped back to me as the principal to make the final decision. And I've not actually had somebody, I've had teenagers try to push, but after I explain, hey, you cannot really wear that beach ball that's 6 feet, can you take it off? They've always been accommodating.
He's asking about the political.
Yeah, I'll throw it out there. Say some student wanted to say Free Palestine or Protect Palestinian Children on their cap. Would that be prohibited or stopped?
We haven't had that one yet.
Great. Well, I would like us to have maybe a policy to make sure that we don't inadvertently stop somebody from expressing their free speech without, and then, but have some boundaries, the no hate symbols, no hate speech, nothing derogatory. But if it's a positive political message, then I want them to be able to do that.
So that might be something to get sort of the board read on, what this is.
Thank you.
You gotta be careful though about what was deemed positive, because you might think it's positive and I might think, So I think that we would have to be, we're relying on your good, senses of talking with the student about what is the purpose of that.
Well, there's, I think, a common sense type approach there. And yeah, I would love to discuss it further.
Oh, boy.
I think it's important for us to make sure that we are up to date with things so that all of our students' voices feel heard. So I think the policy is important. I think the
cap and gown and political statement is a separate conversation of where things belong and don't belong and how we want to like have that conversation. I don't think that that should stop us from looking at this policy because I think that the kids need to know that we value their cultures and their perspectives as well. So I'd like to see us move forward with the graduation exercise policy. Well, I can. I make a motion that we adopt the IKFB graduation exercise policy as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The
Aye.
ayes have it.
Thank you, board.
Callahan.
Callahan.
We're really setting her up over here.
So you didn't know you were going to get a fun board on
Superintendent Owens, the next one's for you.
Well, those four went quick. All right, so you are seeing the return, in Director Mooring's case, the first time he's seen this, of a policy of JGE expulsion. I brought this forward in October of 2023, at which point the board had requested additional information. There wasn't specifically concern about the policy itself, but there was interest in knowing about our internal procedures as it pertained to how we process expulsions and what our deliberation factors are and what our progressions are. And so those have recently been developed and sort of finalized, reflecting our practice in actually how we maneuver that. I sent that out in a weekly email recently to accompany the return of this policy for the board's consideration. For the policy itself, what you're looking at is more clarity as far as the board's discretion to either hear expulsion hearings themselves or to delegate that responsibility to the superintendent, who may in turn delegate that responsibility to a hearings officer. So that policy clarifies the board's choice within that. And then the choice that I am recommending is that we stay with established current practice of delegating that authority to the superintendent, who we currently use a hearings officer to facilitate, and then I do a final review before making a decision as far as that's concerned. What you'll also see accompanying the policy is an AR. That is there for your reference. It is not there for your approval this evening. It is, we've done some work in the superintendent's office of updating that flow chart. There were outdated references to Centennial Park School, for example. An important element that I wanted to make sure was included in our process that you'll see reflected in the internal process that you receive via email, but then also in the flow chart is a checkpoint with our Director of Student Services, Denise Wright, because there are some important procedural considerations when you are looking at an expulsion. For example, is a student on an IEP? Do they need a manifestation determination? Are they on a 504? Same applies. Have you been true to your multi-tiered systems of support procedures within the school, and have you implemented procedures such as interventions, or are there safety planning, or are there any other things that need to be tried before we're getting to that expulsion phase? And so you'll see that reflected in the AR. So that's a broad overview of what's being presented for you tonight. It's being reintroduced as new business in a first read because it's been a while since I brought that back. So with a new board and a new fiscal year, it's being brought as new business on a first read. So I'll turn it back to the chair to determine next moves.
Thank you. At this point, are there questions for the superintendent? Yes.
Can you take us, Superintendent Owens, when you have that, you did mention about the separate flow chart. Yeah, so you have the board note, you have the deletion. I tried to do a little bit of, back and forth. There's just a couple of inconsistencies which I'll just talk to our executive assistant about. And you just explained the AR, which was helpful. Can you tell me how the flow chart gets utilized within the district? Like, the principal has this, staff knows it, because it is complicated. And I'm assuming that as a student is progressing and is having that kind of difficulty, where it would result in an expulsion, or it's a snap thing, we've had that happen, where something happened and now we're suddenly in an expulsion situation. The knowledge of how this flow chart would work.
Yeah, I would say the primary users of that are administrative, and so it offers some consistency in language between the superintendent's office and the school-based administration as to how that flow works. The document that I shared with you is a supplemental internal facing, and it's not presented here in board book, and you saw it was multiple pages. That kind of walks through all of the specific procedures that aren't really appropriate for a one-pager, if that makes sense. And then it's also reference for, oh, Director Wright's coming to add to the conversation in an ominous way. It's also a reference point for parents to be able to see if their student is unfortunately being considered for expulsion, what their rights and responsibilities are. You can see that the flow chart is color-coded so that people know within that what their responsibilities are, and there's a section specifically that pertains to parents or guardians as well. I don't know if that addresses your question.
No, that's helpful. I love having visuals. It helps me better understand. And so if I were a parent that was having to face something like this, reading all of that is hard.
Yep.
Seeing it is like, oh, okay, I can kind of figure out where I might be in the process. Or if I was an administrator or a teacher even, where this might go and how it works. So I was just curious as to the availability of it to help people understand. Because when we're at that stage, everybody is, the heightened awareness of process, procedure, et cetera, is extreme, and you cannot make bad choices, and you need time. The other thing was the timelines. You've got those embedded in here as well. I'm not quite sure, because I couldn't quite follow, and that's my challenge, right? I was trying to, where does that week begin? Does it begin with the principal's notification, et cetera? But I'm going to assume that you guys have utilized these things and can help direct a principal or whoever is initiating this process.
And those timelines will initiate once the student is suspended for the infraction. But then you'll see within those procedures that they may not know, pending further investigation to the matter of whether it's going to yield an expulsion. You don't know that right away at all times.
Right.
And then when you further investigate and further consider, that suspension may turn to an expulsion, but that clock starts when that initial suspension takes place.
Okay, that's good.
And those are not outlined in the flow chart, but they are stipulated in the policy.
Okay.
Director Wright, you would like to add?
I was just going to give a specific example. One way that we've used the resource and the flow chart will help is, one, we fortunately are not getting to this stage very often, which is great. And so part of that, speaking to Superintendent Owens, talking about our multi-tiered systems of support, we're really working on restorative practices across our district. And so when something significant and serious is happening, when building admin are reaching out for that initial consult, a piece that we've been doing since last year is then I follow up in an email with that procedures, with the numbered processes as a follow-up, because there are a lot of considerations. This is a really significant moment in a student's life. Typically, it's something safety related, and that's significant for the whole school community. And so we take it very seriously and know, to your heightened emotional response piece, that it's hard to keep track of all of that. And so having that written process is something that when we're having that conversation, we can refer back to that with the building administrators. What about this? What about this? What about this? What else do you need to know about this information? And so the flow chart will be an additional piece that can help with that. And to your point about thinking about parents, we've had that conversation too. How can we ensure that parents are aware of the process, especially when we get to that point? And so I think that's a consideration. How does that look visually for them as well?
Thank you.
So if it's a first read, we have the option of approval. If it is, if it's just a wording question, it's okay to approve and just if the wording, there's just a couple of inconsistencies in some places, so
You could consider a modified motion.
just for,
So one of my questions a year and a half ago, whenever we did this, is why don't, so it seems very narrowly focused on being a danger to students and employees. And I would really like to see it say being a danger to others, anybody, either on the school grounds or, you know, in a school bus, I don't know, whatever. But I would really like to see it not be so narrowly focused on just students and employees. I don't consider myself an employee, and if a student is threatening me when I'm at a school function, I think that should be a consideration as, anyway, so.
Within the jurisdiction.
Well, maybe not even within the jurisdiction. I don't know. I don't know.
We did some research on that, and the cobwebs have developed since in terms of that. We contacted OSBA and had a couple of back and forths. So let's resurrect that and look at that again. They had some specific reasons why it should stay the language that is being proposed, but I don't have in my working memory as far as why that was concerned. I remember, not to put you on the spot, Executive Assistant Grindle, but
Yeah, I remember that too.
I remember you were involved in that OSBA research as
And
well.
I just feel like if, I'm not an attorney, but if we were to enter into a process to try to expel a student for being a danger to someone other than a student or employee of the district, we probably wouldn't win.
It's awfully gray.
Yeah, it is. It is very, yeah, it would be nice to be a little more specific. And then this is just the comment that pervades all our policies. We should be saying parent/guardian throughout. And that's, I think, Pam, one of the things you might have noticed or something, but.
It's pretty consistent, but I think what we also have to remind ourselves of is that we are a jurisdictional body as well. We have oversight over a definition of who and what we are. And if we go outside of that definition, then that invites challenges. So I get it, and I understand why we would possibly want to protect even further out, but then again, it's just not within our authority to do so. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't alert other resources. I mean, you talk all the time about the kinds of resources that we have and help with that, but it might not be within, our jurisdiction or within our authority to deal with it. And I think we have to be careful about that.
And in the time of this exchange, we have Missy.
And Missy's got it.
Resurrected the information, and maybe she can speak to it. It's still kind of in the cloud on the way over to my computer, but.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So back in October of 2023, this question did come up, and so I reached out to Spencer Lewis, OSBA, in regards to policy, and he said the short answer is it comes directly from statute, ORS 339.250, where it says, for conduct that possesses a threat to the health or safety of students or school employees. That's exactly why.
That seems like it says where it came from. Is that saying that it must be limiting?
He did not indicate whether it was.
But it's like Pam said, we only.
He's gonna try to limit the liability. I mean, OSBA that's one of their goals, right, for us to help us limit liability. And I would assume that's exactly what he's doing, to stay within the letter, the letter of the law.
I would like some more specificity, because I certainly reinforce Director Andrews' input that why not be inclusive to catch all bases, unless we're restricted from it.
Is this okay with back and forth, Chair?
Yeah, please.
I'm not gonna disagree, but I'm gonna say, from, a PLF environment, right? If we go outside, using language that exposes us, then the district's liable. And they're gonna be real clear with that, because we've had these kind of discussions in this room before. But it's not a bad idea to ask the question again and get clarity again, and see just how, what is the
stretchability, I don't know if that's a word, but, right? Or more
How
inclusive is-
expansive we can be.
That's the word, that was the word.
Yeah, I think lawyers can sometimes couch their responses in very specific language to avoid the question. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I would love for it to be specific, answer specifically,
All right, then
so
you-
we can have certainty.
Are you two then saying this is a first read? Until we get that clarification on that question?
We should be able to get an answer pretty soon. Can we bring this back in two weeks?
Yeah, I don't see a problem with
First
that at
read.
all.
First read?
First read.
I just have one quick thing to add to that. In candidate training for the election coming up next week, it was brought to my attention to remember what position you're running for. And that was a way to say you are not responsible for every little thing that happens. And so that when you are crafting your policy platforms, et cetera, keep that in mind, right? That you don't have influence over certain things outside of your jurisdiction or your seat. And so I would just throw that out there to posit again. Yes, it's good to ask the questions, but lawyers make these decisions for a reason, and we should defer to the experts on it if we are not that. That's all.
I think if we need to be very careful if we're giving any deference, that we be clear if it's advice or a legal opinion.
Excellent. I will say that we'll come back to this, but I do want to say that I have noticed an incredible decrease in the amount of expulsions that the district is going through, and you guys are doing great work.
Yes.
So thank you.
It's fantastic.
Resolution on this next time.
Yeah.
But it's been long enough.
Yes, yes.
Okay, future agenda items. What do we got? Superintendent Owens?
All right, our next board meeting is scheduled for May 28th. This will be a virtual meeting that will start at 6 p.m. with the second budget committee meeting, followed by the board work session. And we are tentatively planning on the following agenda items. There will be a Centennial Virtual Academy update report. Realize we're not doing school reports, but this is a new enough and unique enough program to warrant a little bit more board attention. A Roadmap 27 end-of-year update and district, coupled with a district department improvement plan report. The superintendent's year-end report, as well as a few items that have been punted forward a few times, including policy that we just mentioned regarding expulsions. Updating the construction excise tax rate is still pending. The meal prices for 25-26. The recommend and appoint of district equity committee members, it's still being worked on, but we plan to have it ready then. And then perhaps a couple of policies, instructional materials and AI are pending as well, so that Director Olson can walk in with a clear policy folder. So that's what I've got.
Yes.
Is it good of the order now?
Yes, that sounds great for agenda. Let's go to good of the order.
Awesome. I'll try to be quick. I know Melissa wants to go.
I have two things to say.
The Centennial Community Association, we will
two things. One, I want to say that I enjoyed the high school musical a lot. It was delightful, and particularly want to say thank you to the drama teacher, Kelly McCartney, because she personally emailed and invited all of us, and I just really appreciated that, and I would like for you to pass that on. I also did, but and encourage, if you do go, I then just emailed her again and specifically shared some feedback for the kids, and she shared the email with them, and they don't get that very often. So just that additional little piece. So I think it would be really nice to encourage like Ty Lacker or others to share. I don't always have the time to look at every event on the high school calendar, but those personal emails out to us are really delightful. And second, just a little push for Mount Hood Theater Department. They have one more weekend in Men on Boats. Somebody's child happens to be in it, but it's an interesting play that it's supposed to be all women or transgender playing male roles intentionally. So the college is doing some interesting work out there. So I just thought you might be interested in that as well.
Did you say you sent them notes on their performance? That's so cool. I mean, I was like, good.
One more thing. I wanted to let people know and give a special thanks to Principal Miller. I've reached out to try to make rounds to all the high school clubs. I was invited to student council yesterday. It was an amazing event. If any other school board members wants to join me, please let me know, and I'll let you know when I get a hold of Key Club and the Black Student Union and all the other ones that we're trying to reach out to and listen to.
Awesome. I have one more thing. Go ahead.
The East Metro Community Band Association, which has mostly Centennial alumni and half a dozen Centennial staff people in it, is having their spring concert on Saturday at 4 o'clock at Oliver Middle School.
Reminder to board members that when Superintendent Owens sends out his annual reflection of his year, that starts our timeline for doing the appraisal. So the forms will follow, and I appreciate it's a real quick turnaround for us because we need to have it delivered, the feedback delivered by the June meeting. So I appreciate your attention to that. Thank you. Anything else? We are adjourned, 9:24.